everyone? It's your girl Shay here. Welcome to my channel. If you're new, welcome back to my channel if you've been here before. And as you can see by whatever I decide to title this video is the reason why you guys are here. But I will say the topic of this video is me talking about 3 particular shows and me basically asking the question of, would these shows be popular if they were released today or released now? Now, I have kind of talked about this before on like various like podcasts and things like that, and kind of like within talking among my friends as well. But I don't think I've ever made a video about this. I even went back and looked at the videos that I've released over the past 5 or 6 years, and I don't think I ever really discussed this particular topic, although I think I had mentioned it in videos but never really expanded upon this particular idea or topic or opinion that I pretty much have. Now, the reason why I want to talk about this is mostly because of the fact that many of the shows that we know and love, at least myself included, came out in like the mid to late 90s. A lot of us 90s kids like myself grew up on them, or we watched them on Toonami, and a lot of times these shows became extremely popular, and they're very much a part of our childhoods, and we have a deep connection with a lot of these shows. But I've always wondered, would these shows be popular if they came out now? Or is it just a matter of the fact that they got very lucky because of the time that they were released, and because at the time anime was so new and so different that a lot of people were very captivated in what they were actually watching. Now, the 3 shows I'm talking about are Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon, and Cowboy Bebop. The main reason why I chose these 3 shows in particular is because a lot of people enjoyed and loved these shows, and they're still considered classics and very much talked about among the fandom. Now, I know some people might actually also throw in some other shows, like for example, people might throw in shows like Fooly Cooly, or people might throw in a few other shows like Pokemon, or other shows that came out, in the 90s that so many people enjoyed and became massive hits. Maybe not Fooly Cooly, but definitely Pokemon is probably on that list as well. But I didn't do Pokemon because Pokemon is still a show that's steadily coming out with new episodes and has been changing a lot, and its kind of has basically stayed the same. Dragon Ball Z you kind of could put in there as well, but I didn't because of the fact that Dragon Ball Z has had so many different iterations and reboots over the past few years or decades that I'm just sticking with the original DBZ that so many of us watched in the late 90s or late 90s, however you pretty much want to put it. So I'm trying to situate myself to make sure that I'm seen in the camera. So basically, here's how I feel, or my opinion, basically about these shows. With Dragon Ball Z, a lot of us have talked about, even now, the fact that a lot of Dragon Ball Z was kind of slow pacing. And what I mean by that is pretty much anytime Goku had to fight a particular villain like Frieza or Cell or Majin Buu or even Vegeta, it really took a long time for the villain to pretty much be defeated, which isn't a bad thing because you definitely do want to have that build up to the climax of the entire show or that entire season or arc. But for Dragon Ball Z, it was always like random pans of landscape or huge power-ups that took like 4 or 5 episodes and constant yelling, which became, for a lot of us, a lot of our parents at least, something that they laughed about because they always wondered, why are they screaming so much? At least my dad wondered that a lot. But I've always wondered, if you were to release Dragon Ball Z, how it was made in the 90s and made it or came out with it now, exactly how it was released in the 90s, me personally, I don't think it would do very well. Now, I know a lot of people will say, well, a lot of shonen shows probably wouldn't be what they are today without Dragon Ball Z, which is the truth. But let's pretend that these shonen shows that we know and love that are released today still came out. Shows like Demon Slayer or My Hero Academia or Bleach or Naruto still came out. Do we think Dragon Ball Z would hold a candle to them? And me personally, I think no. I think Dragon Ball Z definitely did get lucky in a lot of ways because of when it came out, because it was so new. As many of us remember, anime in the 90s was something that many people didn't know what it was. People were like, this came out of Japan. I have no idea what this is, but it is so interesting and so different from any other animated show that I've ever watched. I want to continue watching. It had a lot of, not going to say violence, but it had a lot of action in it. The characters were drawn differently, and the storylines were something that many of us were able to get immersed in. But if you took that show and released it now, I feel like a lot of people would probably say a lot of the flaws that we have with Dragon Ball Z currently now, as far as like when we rewatch Dragon Ball Z. I think a lot of people would still have that issue obviously today, and they would probably say, well, with My Hero Academia, the characters have a little bit more depth to them, the fights don't take as long, and you kind of get through the series a little bit faster, and the action is more quick paced, and you don't have this main character that seems like they're just this not all powerful, but kind of just continues to get more and more like powerful as the show goes on, but is also kind of like the villain or supposed villain like Vegeta is much more popular, if you understand what I'm saying. Now, if you look at a show like Sailor Moon, I feel like Sailor Moon also kind of had the exact same thing with Dragon Ball Z. The only difference was that, to me, Sailor Moon's whole flaw, and now I love Sailor Moon, but I feel like Sailor Moon's whole flaw was that it's very repetitive. It's very much the same every single episode. Something happens with the Negaverse, they come up with a monster that they send to Tokyo. Sailor Moon and her friends basically find out about said monster. The monster's going after energy. It sucks energy out of people in some sort of way. And then the Sailor Scouts transform, try to beat it. Serena or Usagi, whichever version you're watching, ends up crying, gets upset, gets cheered on by Tuxedo Mask, and then is able to beat said monster. And that's usually the same formula for every episode, unless Sailor Moon and her pals are fighting the big bad villain like Queen Beryl. Now, that's the only time that the formula is different. And I feel like, once again, if you release Sailor Moon as it was in the 90s and released it today, I don't think it would have the same fandom as it does currently now. And the reason why I say that is because of the repetitiveness of the show, and because a lot of people would consider it very, very childish, kind of like Pokemon. Now, granted, we know Sailor Moon obviously has some darker aspects to it, but considering how the show in the 90s is done, it is done in a very childish way because it was supposed to appeal to children, and that's exactly what it did. And I feel like the only aspect that Sailor Moon will still have going for it today is because of the fact that it is still a very much a female-led show. It's a group of teenage girls that are fighting crime, and you don't really have a huge love interest that takes up the majority of the show. Now, I know we have Sailor Moon Crystal, but I'm just talking about Sailor Moon Crystal does not exist. Purely just the 90s Sailor Moon. So I once again feel like with Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon released during a great time because, once again, it was something different, it was something new, it was something that none of us had seen before. And as a girl growing up in the 90s, you didn't have many girl-like superheroes that you could potentially look up to and say, oh, this is a strong female character. I really love all the characters that are involved. It's not this whole aspect of them having to be saved every single episode. They were doing everything on their own. And because you had a group of 5 girls, which of course later on increased when you got the outer Sailor Scouts as well, you were able to, in some sort of way, you and all your friends found a particular Sailor Scout that you yourself really related to a lot or really enjoyed a lot. I know a lot of girls that really enjoyed Lita or Sailor Jupiter. Some girls who were extremely tall were like, I really liked her because she was a tall girl. I was a tall girl among my friends, and she was such a strong character, and she gave me confidence. And I've heard a lot of people say that as well. So I think, once again, Sailor Moon, if released today, probably would not have the fandom that it currently has. But the only thing going for it is because of the fact it is still a full female-led show. And I don't believe now within anime, if there still is a show, there might be a show that's mostly female-led where it doesn't have a love interest that takes up the majority of the show. If I'm wrong, of course, comment below. Because once again, it's probably a show I have not seen. Now, on to my last one, which is one some people might get kind of mad about. and that is Cowboy Bebop. Now, I chose Cowboy Bebop because of the fact that it is such a loved show. A lot of people consider it a classic. People are very upset about the live action that's coming out pretty soon in November, but I want to talk about it because of the fact that compared to Dragon Ball Z and Sailor Moon, I didn't watch Cowboy Bebop as a kid. I didn't watch it on Toonami as a teenager. I didn't watch it till I was an adult, but I knew it was a show that came out in the 90s and a lot of people loved it, and I had heard a lot about it. I've already talked about the fact that I did not enjoy Cowboy Bebop because of the fact that, for me personally, I felt like Vicious and Julia, the two characters that you were kind of supposed to care about because they were linked to Spike's past, I did not care about because of the fact that they showed up so much later in the series and we didn't get a big explanation about how they were connected with Spike. Now, granted, I did love all the backstories of all the main characters like Faye and Jet and Ed, but I did not really connect with the other people in the show that you should connect with as a viewer. And I feel like that was because of the fact that for me, I watched it when it was very hyped up for me, so I expected a lot and my expectations were not met, or exactly what I thought was not met when I watched the show. So I once again feel like Cowboy Bebop, because of when it was released, it greatly got a boost because of the fact that it was so different. And compared to Dragon Ball Z and Sailor Moon, it was a much darker of a show. It came on Toonami, so it came on at night when most adults are mostly the only ones up at that time, or later older teenagers are awake and are able to watch these type of shows. So it was very different from anything else that was on TV, and it was animated. So it showed also that it wasn't for kids because while it was animated, it had darker aspects to it. And also, I will say, the music is amazing. So I have to say, if they released Cowboy Bebop now, I personally don't think it would be or would have become as popular as it is. And I feel like it is because of the fact that we have so many other stories that kind of follow the same episodic nature, but it's done so much better. And I feel like while Cowboy Bebop would still have the whole music aspect going for it, because Cowboy Bebop's music is utterly amazing, I love it, but I feel like a lot of people would have issues with the plot, and they would have issues with the overall plot, basically. And I feel like they would have issues with the characters, once again, that we're supposed to care about not showing up until later on in the series, when we have no idea why we should care about these characters or why we should care about this big fight between Spike and Vicious. Now, that's just me personally. That's what I think. That's my opinion that I have pretty much about all these three shows. So I do greatly feel like a lot of anime that is super popular today, that came out in the 90s, really did get a great boost because of the fact that they came out during a time where there was nothing else like it that existed. Everyone finds it so interesting, so new, and that's what anime was. Anime in the 90s was hit like it became the big thing at the time. And yes, anime dropped off a little bit after that, and now we're definitely seeing an uptick again. But at the time, anime was something that none of us had ever seen before. Most kids in the 90s grew up watching other cartoons on Nickelodeon or Disney Channel or Cartoon Network. So to see something like Dragon Ball Z or Sailor Moon or Cowboy Bebop as we got older was something that a lot of us were like, wow, this is new, this is different, this is exciting, and it's not childish or kiddish. It has a little bit more of an edge to it, and that's what made us all love it. So that's why I was asking, do you think these shows would be popular now? If they release now, would they be popular? And once again, I have to say, no, I don't think they would, but that's just my personal opinion. But of course, what do you guys think? Comment below your thoughts. Let me know how you guys feel about this. I know some of you guys may not agree with me, but remember, I said for these shows, if they came out how they are today, while the other anime that we all know and love, that probably, of course, did take some, repeat some aspects of the shows that we love, that they still came out as they are, like Demon Slayer, My Hero Academia, and stuff like that. But yeah, what do you guys think? Comment below your thoughts. Of course, I have links below on my social media. I have an Instagram, I have a Twitter, and of course, I do have a TikTok. Hopefully, I will upload a new TikTok soon, which will also go on my Instagram. I'm planning to record one, hopefully this weekend. This video will come out on Saturday, so hopefully I will record one this weekend. We'll see. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and of course, please subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you guys soon with a new video. And like I always tell you guys, stay positive, stay nerdy, and in today's day and age, stay healthy, and of course, please stay safe. All right, you guys. Bye.